Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to She the People. We are back with yet another edition of Small Screen Fest. Today, we'll be discussing the blurring reality between our real stories, evolving female characters, and why we love storytelling. So today we have some esteemed speakers on panel. We are joined by Ishita Moitra, who is one of the few sought after female writers in Bollywood. She's best known for her work in Vidya Balan, Shakuntala Devi, and also she has penned dialogues for the two seasons of Amazon show FOMO Shorts Please. We also have Shaili Chopra, journalist, author, and founder of women's health platform Gayatri.com. A warm welcome to all of you, and we are so glad to have you here.
Fabulous being here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Hi. So I'll start with Ishita. We have had some drastic female characters ever since the inception of Indian cinema. We have seen many facets of women's roles. We have had an bad bahu, a good bahu, a submissive wife, a give it back girlfriend, and so on. But over the years, we have seen female roles get more real. They tackle misogyny on head. They have complicated, messy relationships. They tackle power dynamics, be it at home, at workplace, and so on. Uh, do you think we are currently in the golden period of storytelling?
Absolutely, and I think that OTT platforms have a lot to do with it. And there used to be a stereotype, like you're either like the Sati Savitri wife, this
Yeah.
Tyag Ki Murti sacrificing mother, or you're just this ambitious vamp who's there to like break someone's home. And this is
Yeah.
how these are the women characters that we grew up watching, and I think none of us could connect with them. Um, and I think that it's also to do with the fact that there weren't any female writers or any female directors, and the female gaze was completely missing at that time. And so now with OTT storytelling, there is an opportunity to write characters who are not the typical manic pixie dream girl or
Yeah.
the ambitious vamp. And all of us are like a mix of many, many, many different kinds of people and emotions, and we're all flawed and imperfect. We don't have to be these perfect devis that men write us as. And there is now an opportunity, for us to write those kind of real women. And I have written actually three seasons of Fomo Shots, not two. Just wanted to tell you, and
Oh, I'm
I've
so
also
sorry.
written. No worries. I've also written a show like The Test Case, which is a very
Yes.
different kind of show, but it also has a very strong female protagonist. It had Nimrat Kaur playing India's first,
In the army. Hmm.
yes, special forces officer. So the idea is, whether it is Shakuntala Devi or this new show that has just been announced by Amazon yesterday. It's called Call Me Bay. I'm the creator of that show, and I've headed the writers' room on that. That's again a female-led narrative. So the idea is to be able to tell the stories of as many different kinds of women as possible, and also to keep it real and not turn them into, like you said in your when I mean, any of these prototypes that we grew up watching.
Yeah, right, right. So, adding on to that, do you think this changing narrative is because women are telling women's stories? And how powerful storytelling can be a tool to change these narratives, to change this, to challenge these stereotypes?
I feel like it is 100% because of this. I mean, I wouldn't even attribute it to anything else. It's just that when I moved to Bombay, there were very few female scriptwriters. I just like it would be, I mean, on a film set, even there were very little, there weren't that many women who were ADs, there weren't that many women who were cinematographers, there weren't like, apart from the actor and maybe hair and makeup, there were very few women on a film set. But today,
Yeah.
it's not like that at all. And there are some, I have worked on some films, like there was this film called Noor, starring Sonakshi Sinha. It was
Mhm.
produced by Abanantia. I think it had like every HOD was a woman. Similarly, Shakuntala Devi, directed by Anu Menon,
Yeah.
almost every HOD was a woman. So, FOMO Shots Please is another case in point. So now I feel like it's really changed. It's not just women telling women stories doesn't just mean writers and directors. It also means, like, the lens through which we tell the stories is also the editors, the
Yeah.
cinematographers, every technician. And now you'll find that there are many many women who are actually doing all these other jobs that were once supposed to be just like this male bastion. So that, I
Mhm.
think, overall has really impacted the way that you see the characters that you see on screen. So 100% that.
Yeah. So I would like to come to Shelley. Her recent book, Sisterhood Economy, tries to decode this untapped market of women's contribution to economy. And it is also a collective call for women to realize their potential and come forward. Uh, again, I want to add on to this question, Shelley. Again, storytelling. How important is to tell women's stories, and it has to come from them and not from another source.
Thanks, Ragini. I was actually thinking about how big a chapter my book has on Bechari Badass or Bitch, because we tend to label women so drastically on what they portray, how they say, um, who they are portrayed as by the director's gaze, and how easily we let them fall into the traps that society has set for us. So, in many ways, I really resonate with a lot of what Ishita is talking about, because today we have an opportunity, at least, thanks to the viral nature of video form that we are seeing in different ways, that gives us an opportunity to tell stories differently. And while it's exciting at one level, it's also a bit bit of a echo chamber sometimes, right? Because how many people are really accessing that kind of content? We are conditioned to not make those choices as human beings. And we continue to see this argument about putting out anything that's specifically bringing a new message to the table or showing women and their portrayal in a very new age way, in an emancipated way, will always be sort of benchmark against how much does it bring at the box office. So, some of Ishita's work certainly has proven part of that story wrong, but one only hopes that we can take this, far more far more greater depths within audiences than we currently have. But having said that, I think, it's very important to also recognize that storytelling is a highly economic driver of change. And the reason I say that is because we don't recognize that these stories are not just stories. They help people make a living. And these are not the people writing the story, but the story and its impact helps other people find their worth. And therefore I sometimes kind of encourage this need for us to look at entertainment as a very strong economic encouragement to change in society, rather than just in terms of box office terms or the size of the industry and whatever is left there. So I think it's fascinating to see how we are trying to change this narrative, in the country today, and there are new shows that are kind of questioning it. But definitely far more work needs to be done to remind everyone that this isn't just entertainment. We could actually have an economic shift in our approach to women if the portrayal, the stories, and how we put them on screen changes.
Right, right. Ishita, coming back to you, there lies a very inherent sisterhood and girlhood in your stories, be it Foma Shots, be it Shakuntala Devi. There's a very empathetic female gaze that comes through these characters. You think the world that we are living in, and it comes with a great cost when we put out such stories, when we put out such vulnerable women out on the screen. uh, how important is it to do that? And it does not come easily, it comes with a lot of criticism also. How do you tackle that?
Yeah, especially for FOMO shots, we did in the first season. There was a lot of criticism because people simply weren't used to women, to seeing women like this and talk about these
Yeah,
things and
right.
just, be unlikable also. Because there is this idea that a woman always has to be a certain way. And I've seen this experiment that BBC conducted with 5-year-old girls and 5-year-old boys.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
gave them lemonade, and it was pathetic lemonade. None of the girls were able to say that this is bad because they wanted to be liked. and all the boys were like spitting it out, and they were like, "This is shit. Why are you feeding it to me?" So it is that conditioning, of being liked, of being polite, and shows like FOMO shots were breaking all those. Like, I mean, this is like deep rooted conditioning. And so of course there was like a lot of feedback in the first round, but then slowly when it gained ground, and there was also so much love, and there were so many girls and women who reached out to us, and then the second season got nominated for an international Emmy award.
Yeah.
So after that, I think things really changed, and then the third season, like it just happened. It dropped last year. Again, there was a lot of love, and so I think it's taken people also some time to get used to this. And about sisterhood, I mean, if you see any of your masis, or if you remember how girls were in school with you, like there is that thing now, like we're always we're talking about uncomfortable things with each other, but there's also that knowledge that we have, matlab jo brotherhood hota hai, it is the sorority feeling is like that, right? Like we have each other's best interests, and even if we are fighting with each other, we know that there is this feeling of us. And in in storytelling previously, at least in the visual format, women were always pitted against each other. So it's always Saas versus Bahu, or BB number one versus of mistress number one. It was always,
Sorted.
whenever there were two women, they were always fighting with each other. So the idea was also to break this stereotype. And again, like Devika Bhagat, the story and screenplay writer, and Rongita and Nishita Nandi, who are the producers and the creators of that show. All four of us as women also now, like over so many years, we've also forged a strong friendship. So it's also like us four and those four fictional characters. So I feel like we just wanted to carry forward that, what actually happens in our lives. And there was backlash, but I mean, now people are slowly getting used to it.
Yeah. There's also this thing, uh, where when women go to powder rooms, they go together, and they have so many stories to share. They have relatable things to exchange. They might just ask about a lipstick shade and everything. So there is a sisterhood when you were talking about ki हम क्यों relate कर पाते हैं stories को, because we have gone through such things. We have seen growing up such stories. Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. I found it very
I
interesting.
find, sorry to interrupt. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like when I'm at CISF, like when I'm at an airport, I find something to talk about, or the CISF lady finds something to talk about. Like, when I'm at, when there's a female traffic cop, there's always this, it's not, I mean, this powder room, ladies' room conversation, it actually exists everywhere around us. It is women do talk to, I mean, आपकी मेहंदी कितनी अच्छी है, मैंने ये लगाई, मेरी तो गाड़ी नहीं हुई, अच्छा चलो आगे, boarding pass stamp कर दिया, आगे चलो. There is always something personal in these conversations that we have, even with people that we just don't know, with strangers. And I think that is the sorority, that is the feeling that we wanted to capture, and not just in this show, but also, like, it is my endeavor to do this in the other stuff that I'm working on as well.
Yeah. That's wonderful to hear. Um, so moving back to our conversation, I do believe that women sometimes lack space when it comes to storytelling. They're sometimes overpowered by the men in their lives. They are cut off mid statements, or sometimes not even considered to be on the table when it comes to important decision making. How do you think women? How do you think women can create their spaces? How should they barge in and be like, ये मेरी आइडेंटिटी है, आई वांट टू टॉक अबाउट दिस माई सेल्फ? Yeah, any one of you can go.
Okay, so I'll start. So I think the way one of the things that's helping us also rethink our own portrayal in the world is the fact that we are hearing it from more than one place, right? We're trying to see it on our entertainment screens. We're seeing it on our social media. We're seeing it on our timelines. Every single day on Reels, women are reminding us how not to belittle our existence, but actually be bold and take it on. They're trying to break the stigma around things that have been considered female and irrelevant. One of them is mental health. Despite all its elements, it's always been reserved at an area that just women have issues. You know what I mean? We all now know, thankfully, better that this isn't true. So I think that the more women feel that their voices are not being heard, the more they discuss it, at least even in hiding, the higher the chance that they'll come out of hiding and talk about it. You gave the example of the restroom. I think it's amazing how many women just share things. I had gone for a radio show recently, and like typical me, I only have one piece of makeup, which is my lipstick. I put it on my lips, and then I put a little bit here, and I just literally walk out. And the lady who was cleaning the bathroom said, एक लिपस्टिक से क्या क्या हो सकता है, she said, मैंने कभी सोचा ही नहीं था. What I'm trying to say is that I just didn't think that she would do this. This is 7:30 in the morning. I was grumpy as hell walking into a radio show, and I just thought I had to do this. And her saying this just brought a different glow and cracked me up for the day. Like I needed somebody to say something that I would just sort of start breathing from my stomach as opposed to choking myself up with the day. So it was so nice to hear just somebody. And this example of the airport checker, the screen lady. I mean, it's just amazing how that conversation in a very small way can, change the mood, because it's such a boring job for her, right? And we're also sort of getting on with our lives, take the flight, go do more work, go do more work. It's so nice to kind of break this. So I think there is a little bit of invisible energy around us. And I certainly see this, for example, at our work at She the People, or even during my book tour, when we go to colleges or studios and talk about it. Women are starting to see that not all women are out there to eat each other, right? Some of them still are. There is an overhang. We can't expect people to change with the switch of a light switch. I think it's going to be a little bit of a time, but the fact that we're able to see that, the fact that women are able to see within and say that I won't do this to my family, I won't do this to my sister, or this was done to me, but I won't pass it to my child. These are great ways of change, and these changes are sooner or later going to reflect from us onto public spheres or public platforms or screens. I think so.
Yeah. Ishita, would you like to add on?
And I think it's also like a domino effect, right? Like if you see, I mean, when you are voiceless and everyone around you is voiceless, even if you want to say something, you'll think 100 times. But when there are more examples of vocal women, whether it is in the newspaper, whether it is in what you consume, as in terms of entertainment, or whether it is something that you're reading, I think it also empowers you. One empowered woman empowers another one, and it might not be directly. It's also some sort of it's an influence, and I think over a period of time, it gives you the courage to stand up. Like films like Queen, for example. Like there must be so many women who are like how the character was in the beginning, but not everybody gets to go on this journey and become what Queen did by the end of it. But there are a lot of women who must have seen it and found it relatable, and in their own small ways at least address something in their environment. So I think even these stories, they when there are more of them out there, I think it just over a period of time it does give you courage to stand up and voice out your opinion.
Yeah, true. That's true. This is my last question, and again, I would like to come back to both of you on this. What is that one piece of advice you would like to give to younger selves, to the younger ones who are maybe just starting out on their storytelling journeys, but you wish that advice could have given to your younger selves also? uh, I would like you both to go back on it and think, go back in past and let me know.
Ishita?
I think the world was very different when I first moved here, and in the last 10, 15, 20 years, things have really, really changed for the better. I feel like, I don't know, I mean, if I could have done things differently, but I feel like I kind of used to think that this is the way it is, and I have to navigate my way. I used to think of some certain things and structures and as constant. But many women in the last 10, 15 years have broken those barriers and shown others like me, and now the younger people who are coming in, that aisa nahi hai. Like we can, people like Guneet Monga and Ekta
Yeah.
and many other women producers can create their own in their own ways, their own ecosystem. And so these structures and everything, it is matlab, they wanted us to believe that they can't be shaken, but they can. And know that wherever you are, in whatever small city, wherever you are, and be you. Don't just keep what you bring to the city, that originality, that authentic story, that authentic yourself. Don't lose that because you think that this is what the platforms want and this is what the production house wants and यही बिकता है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. If your story is true to who you are, and if there is something honest in what you're saying, and there will be people who will. There's always
An audience
for
for
it.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So I think that it's very hard to say whether our world would have been different. I don't think it would have been different at all. I would have liked it to be different. I don't even know that, to be honest, because somehow, we are a product of the experiences we go through. And
Yeah.
today, I think, sort of going through a couple of different kinds of careers, especially around media, I've constantly got the sense that maybe the change needed us to stand up and not sort of present itself as a part of our early life. There's also so much anger in us, right? And for me, anger is a great, powerful 5-letter word that we need to embrace because it brings such good energy, such good change on the table, which is very different from the narrative that we're constantly fed, that we should not be angry. We shouldn't show, Ishita talked about likability earlier. These are things that have been sort of pretty much put through a blender for us and offered to us in a milkshake, saying this is exactly how it is. And all of us happily bought it for the first 35 years of our life. This is what it is. This is how it should be. And the last 7 years or 10 years have been a period of complete flux. And I love chaos because I think it gives so much creativity and energy and birth to something that you really think couldn't have ever happened, right? When somebody the other day was talking about science, and I said, we used to laugh about 20 years ago that nobody will be able to write on air. But today you can do it. It's almost like women have been fed to be told you can't do this, you can't do that. But some of us are trying to change that narrative, and many women are proving us that we can do it, right? So I think that's really very important. And while there's always advice to give, I would simply say that sometimes constantly thinking that what could have been better is not the advice we need. We just need to know that the things that are there on our plate today can be shaken up. I'm coming from a conversation in a school from my kids' orientation. A sentence that somebody quoted Mahatma Gandhi on is just so powerful and it stuck with me. You can gently shake the world. And I think it is true.
Wow.
You can do it, right? And Gandhi said this. And I'm like, you totally can. And I think that's what we should kind of think about. Let's not look back. Let's not think about what could have been better. Let's just better it for us and for the next.
Yeah. We have had so many inspiring affirmations today. Be yourself, be angry, and be the storyteller that you always want to be. It was a wonderful conversation, and I take back so much from this. Thank you so much for being here, Shaili and Ishita, and it was a wonderful chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lovely conversation.